All right, welcome back to the Central Valley Buzz, everybody. I'm your host, Chuck Leonard. Let's bring in our next guest from Nuttall and Coleman, Jonathan Rooker. Hey,
how's it going?
How's it going? Nice to see you.
Doing good, doing good.
You have an angle today, don't you?
Well, I don't know. I mean, we had a pretty big tragedy occur here in Fresno yesterday.
Yeah, it was a scary moment. My wife works downtown. The second I heard it, I called her, and the second my son heard it, he called her, and we were just frantic.
I understand. I was a couple blocks away, and I saw everything going by. I didn't know what was going on, and then I heard, and it really brings the major issue of domestic violence to light. It really does.
Do you know any of the circumstances?
I understand that there was a breakup of a sort. There were children involved, and possibly a property dispute. That's what I've read. I don't personally know anything.
So, a lady goes to the doctor. Guy follows her there with a shotgun. Goes inside the office.
I understand he had multiple guns, and I don't know if she went to the doctor or if she worked there. I wasn't positive.
Okay.
I thought she worked there, but I'm not sure.
Okay, so
it brings the issue, really. I mean, domestic violence, it brings it to the forefront that it occurs. And also certain examples of how people react. It is a worst case scenario. It really is. I mean, endangered the lives of a lot of people, took the life of the lady he'd been dating, or had children with, took his own life. I mean, it's a tragedy all the way around.
Left his kids orphans.
Yeah. It is a worst case scenario by far. Also, we have to be careful when the pendulum swings. We can't blame other people. Other people get in trouble for small incidents, and they're likely to go harder on a person who may or may not even be guilty or would never go to this extreme. And some people get punished on the thought that it could work out as a worst case scenario. And we can't punish the people that haven't done or aren't going to do. Very few people go to the worst case scenario.
So what are you saying? That there's different levels of domestic violence, and maybe we should be less harsh on the ones that aren't so bad?
We shouldn't punish a person for a minor domestic violence like you would punish a person who commits a murder-suicide, by any means. Any more than anyone that gets in a schoolyard fight should be punished as a murderer, although people do die in fights.
So, wait, I'm going to ask you some questions here because I kind of don't get it, John. What you're saying is a little scrap between a couple happens, and maybe we shouldn't be that hard on those people because they're charging those people the same as someone that really beats someone up bad?
I'm saying there's a reaction that happens in the courts.
No, in the courts. I mean,
in the courts. And the courts might go too far with their reaction on smaller domestic violence compared to a murder-suicide. I mean, we have the death penalty in place in California for certain homicides, but we wouldn't advocate the death penalty for grabbing somebody's arm. And the same overreaction can occur in a minor domestic violence.
So, a couple gets in a fight, the guy grabs her arms. Hey, listen to me. And the girl says, "Whoa! You put your hands on me. I'm calling the cops." Is that
person should not be punished like they were?
Do the cops come in and arrest that guy for domestic violence?
I've heard many times that the cops have a policy that if they come out on a domestic violence call, somebody's getting arrested. Is it going to be him or her? Somebody's getting arrested. But every time the cops are called, it doesn't mean that a crime was committed. And every time that there's an allegation based upon or an arrest upon probable cause does not mean that there is a proof of a guilty person 100%.
A lot of times they get there and there's been some drinking.
Sometimes there's been drinking.
Sometimes. I'm going to go ahead and say most times.
Alcohol and drugs are definitely an issue in domestic violence, and in most crime across the board, I won't go as far with domestic violence. Alcohol is more prominent in that, is my belief. But across the board, methamphetamine is the biggest problem in society today. If the number of courtrooms that we have, the amount we pay for insurance, the amount we pay for electricity is raised across the board due to methamphetamine and methamphetamine addicts. But alcohol and domestic violence tend to be a link. And also, it might start out with one person talking to them like they normally do, going, "Hey," getting their attention. "Don't touch me," slap the hand. "Oh, you hit me." But I know my interactions with the girlfriends I date, if I say something, which I'm prone to do, that can get under their skin, "Shut up," I'll get a slap.
Punch in the arm.
But that's part of that's all. It's all agreeable. It's part of the fun. To me, that's not a domestic violence.
But that same action in a heightened moment, whether it's heightened by alcohol or methamphetamine or anger,
could cause a reaction from the person that got slapped that would be outside the ordinary.
Right.
And that person, don't touch me, don't slap me, I'm mad right now. That's not good. Slaps back. One person feels violated by being touched. Well, I always slap like that joking around. Now you've hit me back. Pushes them. And then a slap comes back. Then they separate. The cops are there. Yeah, it's a domestic violence, but how do you untangle who's the domestic batterer?
So what you're saying is if you get charged for domestic violence, maybe you should get a lawyer to dissect it a little bit, not just let the cops charge you with it and take it?
That would be a very good interpretation of that. I would agree.
Yeah. I can see. You know how I do it. I know my wife can take me, so I don't push her.
I don't blame you. I'm just terrified of mine.
All right, Nuttall, Coleman, Johnny, how do they get a hold of you?
Give me a call at 559-496-0123 or on the internet at www.jonathanrooker.com, my humble website.
And remember, if you're unlucky enough to get a DUI, call Johnny too. All right, John.
Take it easy.
Right. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back with